Hi, this is Pastor Randy with a look at the Encounter Adult Sunday School lesson for Sunday, October 25th. This lesson is entitled David, Promise of an Everlasting House. Today's lesson was written during the early days of the pandemic, and though the author writes that he hopes that by the time we do this study, that we will be back in our Sunday school classes and worshiping in our sanctuaries, we here at Marshall Cumberland Presbyterian Church aren't yet. When you think of the house of God, you probably think of some place like this. It's the way we have done church during our lifetime. But the pandemic has changed things. As the author noted, the church has left the building. Churches like ours have had to come up with new ways to do things. We have held services in our parking lot. We have purchased prepackaged communion juice and wafers. Sunday school classrooms have been replaced by conference calls and Zoom meetings. And I have developed videos like this to help build and encourage our congregation. You are probably longing for the day when you can return to these pews. But the fact is, this is not the church. This is the church. People like you and me. In 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19, Paul asks, "Do you not know that your bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God?" The truth is borne out in the text for today's lesson from 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 1 to 17. God tells David that he doesn't need him to build him a building, but instead he would make him an everlasting house. Through David, God would honor the promises he gave Abraham in Genesis chapter 12 through 22. And through David's lineage, most specifically Jesus Christ, he would establish an everlasting kingdom. God's glory would not be in the buildings that we build for him, but the building that he is building out of us, his church. That's why one of the most important things we can say during this pandemic is God didn't call us to go to church. He called us to be the church. Eugene Peterson says, "Our grand human plans to do something for God are a huge distraction from what God is doing for us." The author states, "God never wanted to be housed. God's too big and too glorious to be enshrined. We ourselves are the place of prayer in service and worship." This quarantine has caused us to shift our focus from buildings to personal worship and mission, to cause those who are serious about their faith and calling to worship and serve and connect in different ways. Some of those ways, no doubt, will remain long after this pandemic is gone because they were needed and effective. I don't believe that God causes pandemics to happen, that we live in a fallen world that is longing for its redemption along with all of God's children. But God certainly does work good out of the bad, and it only takes a look at the cross of Christ to see that truth. Until next time, this is Pastor Randy.